What if the reason you can't sleep isn't because of stress, noise, or your racing thoughts, but because you've never learned how to truly let go? Tonight I'm going to share with you 8 ancient Shaolin teachings that will not only help you fall into the deepest sleep of your life, but will completely transform how you approach rest, peace, and inner stillness. Every night, millions of people lie in bed staring at the ceiling, their minds spinning with worries, regrets, and endless thoughts about tomorrow. But what if I told you that monks who have mastered the art of inner peace have been using specific mental techniques for over 1,000 years to achieve perfect rest? These aren't just meditation tricks or breathing exercises. These are profound teachings that address the root cause of sleeplessness, the inability to release control and trust in the natural flow of life. Here's what most people don't understand about sleep. You think it's about your environment, your schedule, or your stress levels, but the real issue runs much deeper. We live in a world that has trained us to always be doing something, always thinking about something, always preparing for the next challenge. Our minds have forgotten how to simply be. We've lost the ability to surrender to the present moment, and this creates a constant state of internal tension that makes deep restorative sleep nearly impossible. Think about it. When was the last time you went to bed without your phone nearby? So when was the last time you lay down without immediately starting to plan tomorrow or replay today? Your nervous system is stuck in a state of constant activation because you've never learned the ancient art of conscious releasing. This is why you can feel exhausted but still can't fall asleep. Your body is tired, but your spirit, one person health creative AI-powered meals and activity tracker track meals and activities with voice photos. AI analyzes your data. Get personalized recommendations that actually work. Try for free sponsored hasn't learned how to rest. First teaching, the practice of empty mind. The first teaching that will revolutionize your sleep comes from understanding what monks call empty mind. This doesn't mean having no thoughts. That's impossible and not the goal. Empty mind means learning to observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them. Like watching clouds pass through the sky without trying to grab them or push them away. When you lie down tonight, instead of fighting your thoughts or trying to force yourself to think about nothing, practice this simple technique. Imagine your mind as a vast open space. Every thought that appears is like a bird flying through this space. You don't try to catch the bird. You don't try to scare it away. You simply watch it pass through. Some birds are big and loud. These might be your worries about work or relationships. Some birds are small and quick. These might be random memories or plans for tomorrow, but they all have one thing in common. They all pass through. This practice teaches you something profound about the nature of your thoughts. They are not you and they are not permanent. They arise, exist for a moment, and then disappear. When you truly understand this, you stop fighting with your thoughts at bedtime. You stop trying to control them. You become like the sky, vast, peaceful, and unaffected by whatever passes through. Most people have been taught to believe that good sleep requires a completely quiet mind. This belief creates enormous pressure and frustration because the harder you try to stop thinking, the more thoughts seem to multiply. It's like trying to stop a flowing river with your bare hands. The more force you use, the more turbulent the water becomes. But when you approach your thoughts with the wisdom of empty mind, you discover that you don't need to stop the river. You simply need to stop jumping in and getting swept away by every current. Think about how you experience thoughts during your waking hours. A worry pops up about a meeting tomorrow, and suddenly you're completely absorbed in planning what you'll say, imagining different scenarios, rehearsing your responses. Memory from earlier in the day surfaces, and before you know it, you're replaying the entire conversation, analyzing what you could have done differently. This is what it means to get caught up in thoughts. You become identified with them. You believe they are urgent and important, and you give them all of your attention and energy. But what if you could experience thoughts the same way you experience sounds right now? You might hear a car passing by outside, or the hum of your refrigerator or footsteps in another room. These sounds register in your awareness, but you don't feel compelled to chase after them or make them stop. You simply notice them, and then your attention naturally moves on to something else. This is exactly how empty mind works with thoughts. The practice begins with recognizing the difference between thinking and awareness. Thinking is the activity, the constant stream of words, images, and mental commentary that flows through your consciousness. Awareness is what notices the thinking. It's the spacious presence that observes thoughts without being disturbed by them. When you strengthen your connection to this aware presence, thoughts lose their power to disturb your peace. As you practice this technique night after night, you'll begin to notice something remarkable. The thoughts themselves haven't necessarily changed. You might still have concerns about work, relationships, or tomorrow's responsibilities, but your relationship to these thoughts has transformed completely. They no longer feel heavy or urgent. They're just mental events arising and passing away in the vast space of your awareness. No different from sounds or sensations. This doesn't mean you become disconnected or uncaring about your life. During appropriate times, you can engage with important thoughts and concerns constructively. But when you're preparing for sleep, you have the skill to let thoughts exist without being pulled into that drama. You can acknowledge a worry about tomorrow's presentation without spending the next hour mentally rehearsing every possible scenario. You can notice a memory from today without getting lost in analyzing every detail. The key to mastering this technique is patience and gentleness with yourself. Don't expect to become a master overnight. Some nights your mind will be filled with many birds, some nights just a few. Neither is better or worse. Your job is simply to be the sky providing space for whatever appears without judgment or resistance. When you find yourself getting caught up in a particular thought, don't criticize yourself or see it as failure. Simply notice what happened with kindness and gently return to being the observer rather than the participant. Over time, this practice extends beyond just bedtime. You begin to carry this quality of spacious awareness throughout your day, becoming less reactive to stressful situations and more capable of responding from a place of inner calm. The same skill that helps you sleep peacefully also helps you navigate daily challenges with greater wisdom and equilibrium. Remember, empty mind is not about emptying your mind of all content. It's about discovering the naturally empty, spacious quality of awareness itself. The peaceful presence that remains constant whether thoughts are present or absent. This presence is always available to you, waiting beneath the surface activity of thinking, ready to provide the perfect conditions for deep restorative sleep. Second teaching, the wisdom of accepting what is. The second teaching that will transform your relationship with sleep is learning to accept what is rather than constantly fighting against reality. Most people approach bedtime with a list of demands. I need 8 hours of sleep. I can't have any interruptions. I must fall asleep within 10 minutes. I shouldn't have any worries on my mind. But this approach creates suffering and tension, the exact opposite of what promotes deep rest. True wisdom lies in acceptance. If you're lying in bed and feeling anxious, instead of fighting the anxiety or judging yourself for having it, practice accepting it completely. Say to yourself, right now, anxiety is here. I don't need to like it, but I can accept that this is what's present in this moment. This doesn't mean giving up or resigning yourself to suffering. It means stopping the additional layer of resistance that makes everything worse. When you accept what is happening in your mind and body without trying to change it immediately, something magical occurs. The tension you are creating through resistance begins to dissolve naturally. Your nervous system starts to calm down because it's no longer fighting a battle on two fronts, dealing with the original concern and also fighting against having that concern. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that acceptance means weakness or giving up control. We think that if we don't actively resist uncomfortable experiences, we are somehow failing or being irresponsible. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Real acceptance is one of the most powerful forces in the universe because it aligns you with reality instead of wasting your energy on impossible battles against what has already occurred. Think about what happens when you stop your toe on a piece of furniture. The initial pain is unavoidable. It's simply the reality of what happened. But then notice what your mind does next. It might start a whole internal commentary. This is terrible. Why did I leave that there? This always happens to me. Now my whole night is ruined. This mental resistance to the pain often creates more suffering than the original injury. The toe will heal naturally, but the story you tell yourself about the experience can keep you agitated for hours. The same principle applies to every aspect of your sleep experience. When you lie down and notice your heart beating faster than usual, you can either accept this as your current reality and work gently with it, or you can create a whole drama about how your heart shouldn't be beating fast and how this means you'll never fall asleep. One response leads to gradual calming. The other leads to increased agitation. Understanding the difference between pain and suffering becomes crucial here. Pain is what actually happens. The worry about tomorrow's meeting, the sadness about the relationship issue, the physical discomfort of lying in an awkward position. Suffering is what your mind adds to the pain through resistance, judgment, and storytelling. When you're lying in bed concerned about something important in your life, that concern might be completely valid and understandable. But when your mind starts spinning stories about how you shouldn't be worried, how this worry will ruin your sleep, how you're weak for having these feelings, that's when pain transforms into suffering. The practice of acceptance begins with recognizing these two different layers of your experience. You can learn to separate what is actually happening from what your mind is saying about what's happening. This recognition alone brings immediate relief because you realize that much of your distress comes not from your actual circumstances, but from your resistance to those circumstances. This teaching extends beyond just thoughts and emotions. If you hear a noise outside, instead of getting irritated and thinking, "Why does this always happen when I'm trying to sleep?" practice accepting the sound as part of your current experience. You might even discover that sounds you previously found annoying can become neutral or even soothing when you stop fighting against them. The distant hum of traffic, the settling sounds of your house, even your partner's breathing patterns can become part of a peaceful soundscape when you approach them with acceptance rather than resistance. If your partner is snoring, instead of building resentment and lying there feeling victimized by the situation, practice accepting this as the reality of this particular night. This doesn't mean you have to love the snoring or that you can't address it constructively at an appropriate time. But in the moment, acceptance allows you to work with the situation rather than against it. You might choose to adjust your own position. Use the rhythmic sound as a focal point for relaxation, or simply acknowledge that this is how tonight is unfolding without making it mean anything terrible about your relationship or your ability to rest. If your body feels uncomfortable in one position, instead of tossing and turning frantically while mentally complaining about your mattress, your pillow, or your physical limitations, practice accepting the discomfort and then making gentle mindful adjustments. The key word here is gentle. When you accept what you're feeling rather than fighting it, your movements become more conscious and effective rather than agitated and desperate. The practice of acceptance doesn't make you passive or weak. It makes you incredibly strong because you're no longer wasting precious energy fighting against things you cannot immediately control. This conserved energy naturally flows toward rest and restoration. You develop what ancient wisdom traditions call effort. The ability to take appropriate action from a place of calm-centeredness rather than reactive struggle. Learning to accept what is present in each moment is a skill that develops gradually with practice and patience. Some nights you'll find yourself naturally flowing with whatever arises. Other nights you might catch yourself in resistance patterns before remembering to shift your approach. Both experiences are completely normal parts of developing this profound life skill that extends far beyond just improving your sleep. Third teaching, releasing the day's burdens. The third teaching focuses on the sacred practice of consciously releasing the day's burdens before sleep. Throughout each day, we accumulate not just physical tiredness, but emotional and mental weight. Conversations replay in our minds. Mistakes feel heavy on our hearts, and unfinished tasks create tension in our bodies. Most people try to sleep while carrying all of this weight, which is like trying to float in water while wearing heavy clothes. The ancient practice of conscious release involves systematically letting go of everything you've been carrying from the day. Begin by taking 3 slow deep breaths. With each exhale, imagine you're breathing out not just air, but all the stress, worry, and mental clutter you've accumulated since you woke up this morning. Most of us don't realize how much emotional and mental debris we collect throughout a single day. Every interaction leaves an impression. Every challenge creates some level of tension. Every unfinished conversation continues running in the background of our consciousness. By evening, we're carrying the weight of dozens of incomplete experiences, unprocessed emotions, and lingering concerns. This accumulated weight doesn't just disappear when we lie down. It follows us into bed and keeps our nervous system activated when it should be winding down for rest. Think about how you feel at the end of a particularly busy or stressful day. Your body might be tired, but your mind is still buzzing with everything that happened. You might find yourself replaying a difficult conversation with a coworker, worrying about a task you didn't finish, or feeling frustrated about something that didn't go according to plan. Each of these mental activities is like carrying a heavy stone in your backpack. One stone might not seem like much, but by the end of the day, you're carrying dozens of them. Now mentally review your day like you're watching a movie. See the conversations you had, the challenges you faced, the emotions you experienced. But instead of getting caught up in analyzing or judging these experiences, practice viewing them with compassionate detachment. Say to each experience, "Thank you for the lesson. I release you now for the difficult moments." Practice forgiveness both for others and for yourself. For the pleasant moments, practice gratitude without clinging. The process of reviewing your day shouldn't become another source of stress or self-criticism. You're not looking for mistakes to punish yourself or problems to solve. You're simply acknowledging what happened with the same gentle awareness you might use to sort through items in a closet. Some experiences were pleasant, some were challenging, some were neutral. All of them served their purpose during the day, and now they can be released so they don't interfere with your rest. Pay special attention to any moments where you felt misunderstood, criticized, or treated unfairly. These experiences tend to stick in our consciousness like thorns, creating ongoing irritation long after the original event has passed. Instead of carrying resentment or hurt feelings into your sleep, practice offering forgiveness, not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve to be free from the burden of carrying negative emotions. You can say something like, "I forgive this person for not understanding me today. I release any hurt or anger I'm holding about this situation." This practice also includes forgiving yourself for any mistakes, poor choices, or missed opportunities from the day. Self-criticism and regret are particularly heavy burdens that can keep your mind spinning for hours. Instead of beating yourself up about what you should have done differently, practice offering yourself the same compassion you would give to a good friend who was struggling. "I forgive myself for not handling that situation perfectly. I was doing my best with what I knew at the time and time. I release any shame or regret about this experience." This isn't about pretending your problems don't exist or avoiding responsibility. It's about recognizing that when you're lying in bed preparing for sleep, there's nothing constructive you can do about the day's event. Carrying them into your sleep serves no purpose except to rob you of rest and peace. If there are genuine issues that need attention, they'll still be there tomorrow when you're rested and better able to address them effectively. Some people find it helpful to imagine placing each concern or memory into a special container, a beautiful wooden box or a flowing river that carries everything downstream. Others prefer to visualize themselves removing heavy clothing item by item, with each piece representing something they are ready to release from. You might imagine writing each concern on a piece of paper and then watching it dissolve in water, or visualize each burden as a balloon that you release into the sky. Find the imagery that resonates with you and practice it consistently. The key to this practice is understanding that release doesn't mean suppression or denial. You're not pushing problems away or pretending they don't matter. You're consciously choosing to set them aside for now so they don't interfere with your body's natural restoration process. Sleep is when your mind processes and integrates the day's experiences. But this happens most effectively when you approach rest from a state of peace rather than agitation. Fourth teaching, the power of present moment awareness. The fourth teaching that will revolutionize your sleep involves learning to anchor your awareness completely in the present moment. Most sleep difficulties arise because your mind is either replaying the past or rehearsing the future. But sleep can only happen now in this present moment, in this current breath. In this immediate experience of your body resting, begin by bringing your attention to the physical sensation of lying down, Feel the weight of your body being supported by the bed. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin. Become aware of the rhythm of your natural breathing without trying to change it. These are all present moment experiences that have nothing to do with yesterday's mistakes or tomorrow's challenges. The power of present moment awareness lies in understanding that this moment right now is the only moment in which you can actually experience rest and healing. Your mind might be concerned about a meeting that's happening tomorrow, but that meeting exists only in your imagination right now. Your mind might be replaying an argument from earlier today, but that argument is now just a memory with no current reality. The only thing that actually exists is this present moment. And when you learn to rest your attention here completely, you discover a natural state of calm that supports deep sleep. Most people resist present moment awareness because their minds have been trained to believe that constant thinking about the past and future is necessary for survival and success. We've developed a habit of mental time travel, jumping backward to analyze what went wrong or forward to plan what might happen next. While this kind of thinking has its place during active problem-solving periods, it becomes counterproductive when you are trying to rest. When you notice your mind wandering to other times and places, don't judge this as failure. Gently and kindly guide your attention back to the immediate sensations available to you right now. The softness of your pillow, the comfort of your blankets, the natural rise and fall of your chest. Each time you return your awareness to the present moment, you're practicing a form of mental training that builds your capacity for peace and stillness. The practice of present moment awareness becomes deeper when you begin to appreciate the richness of immediate experience. Right now, as you're lying in bed, there are countless subtle sensations available to your awareness. The feeling of your head sinking into the pillow, the gentle weight of blankets across your body, the soft rhythm of air moving in and out of your lungs. There might be subtle sounds, perhaps the quiet hum of a heater, the distant sound of wind, or the barely perceptible settling noises of your home. These present moment experiences are incredibly grounding and naturally calming to your nervous system. You can also bring awareness to the space around your body. Notice the feeling of air touching your skin, the sense of spaciousness in the room around you, the feeling of being held and supported not just by your bed but by the earth itself. This expanded awareness helps dissolve the mental boundaries that often keep us feeling isolated and anxious. When you connect with the present moment fully, you remember that you're part of something much larger than your individual concerns and worries. This teaching goes deeper than just focusing on physical sensations. It involves developing a profound appreciation for the miracle of this present moment. Right now, you are safe. Right now, you are exactly where you need to be. Right now, you don't need to solve any problems or make any decisions. This moment is complete in itself, requiring nothing from you except your gentle presence and acceptance. The present moment has a quality of completeness that's very different from past-focused regret or future-focused anxiety. When your attention is fully here, you're not lacking anything or needing anything to be different. You're not waiting for some other moment to arrive when you can finally be at peace. Peace is available right now in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this sensation of resting. Many people resist present moment awareness because they believe they need to be constantly planning and preparing. But the truth is, your best thinking, planning, and problem solving happen when you're well rested and peaceful. By giving yourself permission to be fully present as you prepare for sleep, you're actually investing in your future effectiveness and well-being. Tomorrow's challenges will be met much more skillfully by a rested, peaceful mind than by an exhausted mind that never learned how to truly rest. The practice of present moment awareness also helps you recognize the difference between real concerns and imaginary ones. Many of the things that keep us awake at night are not actually happening right now. They're projections, worries, or mental rehearsals of possible future scenarios. When you anchor your awareness in the present moment, you can clearly see which concerns are real and immediate versus which ones are products of an anxious imagination. Fifth teaching, cultivating inner stillness. The fifth teaching introduces you to the profound practice of cultivating inner stillness, which goes beyond mere relaxation. Stillness is not the absence of movement or thought. It's the presence of deep peace that exists beneath all surface activity. Think of a lake on a windy day. The surface might have waves and ripples, but deep beneath the surface, the water is perfectly still and calm. Your mind works the same way. Even when thoughts and concerns are moving across the surface of your consciousness, there is a place of deep stillness that is always available to you. This stillness is your true nature, your essential self that exists beyond all the temporary experiences of stress, worry, and mental chatter. Most people spend their entire life identified with the surface waves of consciousness, the constant stream of thoughts, emotions, reactions, and mental commentary that never seems to stop. They believe they are their thoughts, that their identity is wrapped up in their mental activity. But this teaching reveals something profound. You are not the waves on the surface of the lake. You are the entire lake itself, including the vast depths of stillness that remain undisturbed regardless of what's happening on the surface. This understanding changes everything about how you approach sleep and rest. Instead of trying to stop the waves or force your mind to become quiet, you learn to sink beneath the surface activity and connect with the stillness that's already there. It's like learning to dive deep into the lake where the water is naturally peaceful rather than trying to calm the waves from the surface. To connect with this inner stillness, begin by recognizing that you are not your thoughts or emotions. You are the aware presence that observes them. Just as you can watch a movie without becoming the characters on screen, you can observe your mental activity without being overwhelmed by it. This observer, this witness consciousness is naturally peaceful and still. The key is learning to recognize the difference between the content of consciousness and consciousness itself. The content includes all your thoughts, emotions, sensations, and perceptions, everything that comes and goes in your awareness. Consciousness itself is the unchanging backdrop against which all of this temporary content appears. It's the screen on which the movie of your life is playing, remaining unaffected by whatever drama unfolds. Practice shifting your identity from being the thinker to being the awareness that notices thinking. Instead of saying, I am worried, practice saying, I notice worry arising in my awareness. Instead of I am angry, practice, I observe anger moving through my experience. This subtle shift creates space between you and your mental activity, allowing you to access a natural stillness that lies beneath. This shift in perspective might feel strange at first because most of us have never been taught to recognize ourselves as the witness of our experience rather than the experience itself. We've been conditioned to believe that we are our thoughts, our emotions, our reactions. But when you begin to observe your mental activity with some detachment, you realize that there's something in you that remains constant and peaceful even when your thoughts and emotions are turbulent. As you practice this teaching, you might begin to notice moments of complete silence between thoughts, gaps in the mental chatter where pure awareness exists. These moments might be brief at first, just a second or two, but they give you a taste of your deeper nature. It's like surfacing for air while swimming. Suddenly you break through into a completely different element, one that feels unlike anything you've experienced before, an element that is naturally peaceful, open, and endlessly spacious. It isn't something you fought to reach. It isn't the result of controlling your mind or silencing your thoughts with sheer willpower. It simply arises as if it was always there, quietly waiting beneath the surface of your busy inner world. This peace feels different from the fleeting relief you get when something goes right in your life. It isn't tied to circumstances or accomplishments. It has no conditions, no demands. It simply exists whole and complete the moment you stop struggling to find it. At first, these moments come unexpectedly, like a sudden gap in the clouds where sunlight pours through. You might notice them when you pause to watch the sky, listen to the wind, or sit in stillness before falling asleep. There's a sense that time itself slows down. The constant chatter of your mind, the planning, the worrying, the analyzing fades into the background, and what remains is a presence so vast and calming that it seems to hold everything with you. With consistent practice, whether through meditation, prayer, deep breathing, or simply becoming more aware of the present moment, these glimpses of stillness begin to stretch. What once felt like a rare accident now begins to appear more often, staying a little longer each time. Eventually, you notice that it doesn't take as much effort as before. You no longer chase the feeling of peace. You allow it to unfold naturally, and because you are no longer gripping so tightly, it stays with you. As this continues, something inside you shifts. You begin to realize that stillness isn't something you have to manufacture or achieve. It isn't a reward for hard work or a distant goal waiting at the end of a long spiritual journey. Instead, it's the foundation beneath all the noise and chaos of your daily life. It was always there like the deep, unmoving ocean beneath the waves. You start to recognize this truth most clearly in quiet moments, especially as you drift off to sleep. The day winds down, your body relaxes, and for a few precious moments before sleep takes over, you sense that familiar, expansive calm. You see now that stillness doesn't come from escaping life, but from allowing yourself to fully be in it without resistance. Over time, this state becomes less of a passing experience and more like your natural home. It begins to color the way you move through the world, your conversations, your decisions, even your challenges. You carry it within you, not as something fragile to protect, but as something powerful and unshakable. The stillness is you and it was never missed.